It's been 10 years since the Dominion Federation War. The Founders, having kept their agreement to stay out of the Alpha Quadrant, have since rebuilt their forces and decided to expand towards the Delta Quadrant. The Founders send Vorta representatives to several of the newly discovered worlds to elicit Dominion membership. Having learned a lot from their dealings early on with worlds from the Alpha Quadrant, they rely heavily on the Vorta's diplomacy before sending Jem'Hadar support. In just 2 years, several worlds now either serve or do trade with the Dominion. The Founders retake a rogue planet deep within a stellar dust cloud closer to the Delta Quadrant. Their intent is to send Founders to these new Dominion worlds and scout deeper into the Delta Quadrant. The Founders settled on this method based on information they obtained during their infiltration of Starfleet and from Odo.
And so it begins.
Step 2. First Contact.
En route back to Dominion space around Member World and Kari, a small Dominion fleet picked up a signal of an approaching vessel. Having far stronger sensors than a Federation vessel, it was quickly identified as Cubicle. The Founder on board was notified. Knowing that the Borg could not be outrun, the Founder ordered the Vorta to send the remainder of the several vessels to engage the Borg. This will give the Founder time to hopefully escape the incoming Borg vessel in an effort to get word back to the Great Lake. 4 Jem'Hadar fighters approached the Borg cube. The Vorta commander and First received their first and only transmission.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
The Vorta commander signals the Borg cube in an effort to both negotiate and stall for time. Borg vessel, this is Eris, a humble and loyal servant of the Dominion. I would like, the Borg interrupted.
Like is irrelevant. The Dominion is irrelevant. You will adapt to service us.
Eris orders the fighters to engage. The small vessels maneuver quickly around the cube, firing phase polaron beams and phase photon torpedoes. Not having encountered this type of energy weaponry, they mostly penetrate the primary Borg shield matrix, but encounter the low-frequency adaptive shield matrix, which samples each energetic frequency penetrating it. Now, right here, it should be noted that the Dominion has only used phase polaron torpedoes in canon once, okay? And that was in the ship, I believe, in Deep Space Nine, where the Jem'Hadar have fired a torpedo that got lodged into the hull of the Defiant. Totally disrespected my ship, by the way, because Defiant is my ship. Anyway, the Borg adaptive shield matrix adapts, sending the correct frequency range to the Borg primary static shields, adapting to all incoming fire. The Borg begin their assault. 2 fighters are immediately captured, and the Borg track the beam, immobilizing them and draining their shields and weapons. This tractor beam has also scanned the vessel design, materials, and weaponry. 10 drones are transported to the 2 fighters, and a cutting beam begins slicing the fighters apart. The other 3 vessels start in on ramming speed. Eris cares little for the Jem'Hadar, knows that she will be reconstituted in her clone. The first 2 fighters contact the Borg shielding, immediately being destroyed. The tractor beam had already scanned their compositions, allowing for immediate adaptation. Eris' ship is captured in a tractor beam as the last 2 fighters are cut completely apart and brought inside the cube. Erin orders her first to destroy the ship, but as there is no self-destruct on board Dominion fighters, the first cannot obey, nor would he, as that's seen as not in the service of the Founder's orders. Erin kills the first with a telekinetic discharge. The second attempts to kill Erin, but they are suddenly surrounded by Borg drones. Erin kills 2 drones with telekinetic discharges before being injected with nanites from a Borg's tubules. The Jem'Hadar fight back, inflicting heavy casualties on the Borg intruders. However, they too fall.
The Founders, Set course to Sector 002. The founders will adapt to service us.
Step 3. The confrontation.
Having found interest in Polaron technology, cloning and maturation technology, and of course, shape-shifting ability, the Borg cube heads into Dominion space. Due to the vastness of Dominion space and the importance of their technology, 50 additional cubes enter transwarp conduits to assist in a simulation. The founders decide the best current strategy is to infiltrate the Borg vessel, gain as much information on their current capabilities, and sabotage the vessel. Direct beaming is found useless as the Borg have adapted to their transporter frequencies. A founder is able to board the cube by shifting into an object on one of the fighters being assimilated. The founder finds no resistance as it looks about deciding on which systems to place their adaptive explosives, which are designed to grow into the ship's systems and protect itself from removal. The founder is able to place 2 such devices before the Borg notice its presence. Several Borg drones quickly arrive and begin scanning the device. A drone attempts to pierce the bomb, however, a shield protects the device. The drone tries again, piercing the shield and assimilating the device, and it goes inert.
Founder detected. Begin internal sweep.
The founder attempts to shift for escape. However, the Borg drones can see in multiphasic, multispectrum wavelengths and also provide advanced spectral and geometric perspectives. Some eyepieces even emit low-intensity lasers, furthering their scanning capabilities.
Hiding was futile.
The founder even attempted to become a Borg drone. However, not being connected to the collective, the founder was easily discovered. The drones approached. The founder turned into various shapes: a destructive Gorn, a rampaging Targ, a gaseous entity that drained drones of blood. Every time a tubule pierced the founder, it would shift into something sparse, allowing the nanites to fall harmlessly to the ground. However, the founder found it could no longer shift. It became locked in the form of a Tholian. Having assimilated both Romulan, Federation, and Cardassian persons in the past, the Borg had access to the anti-shapeshifting device, the technology used against Odo by Garrick during his interrogation, which now the Borg have begun broadcasting throughout the cube. This gives the nanites time to work, assimilating their first founder. News of this loss reaches the Great Link, where for the first time in thousands of years, they felt desperation and fear. Another founder was dispatched, Odo, to seek help from the Federation. In the meantime, the founders decided on another approach: biological warfare. They were experts in this field, and maybe, just maybe, they could at least survive. The Jem'Hadar found themselves at a disadvantage. They resort to mostly hand-to-hand tactics against the Borg, but this too proves futile. The Borg, hand-to-hand, are far stronger than the Jem'Hadar. The Jem'Hadar cannot be assimilated due to the Ketracel white dependency, and the Borg sees this as something they do not want as part of their collective. The Borg resort to destroying vessels occupied by Jem'Hadar. The Jem'Hadar began flying their capital ships into the cube, severely damaging it. The Jem'Hadar make a last-ditch effort to take the cube. However, transwarp conduits are detected. 50, spanning the area of the heart of the Dominion, effectively surrounding the Founders' system. A tactical sphere assists the damaged Borg vessel, suppressing the Jem'Hadar boarding party. As the Borg work their way towards the center, the Founders' last-ditch effort, a pathogen virus designed to break down biomatter, turning Borg drones into tech and mush. The payloads were delivered to several Borg cubes, rendering them immobile. The other Borg vessels halt their advance, but the Great Link is still surrounded. The Jem'Hadar maturation facilities and the water cloning facilities have long since fallen to the Borg, which is now sending out drones with even more efficiency than before. Jem'Hadar ship facilities were now producing and repairing Borg vessels. The Borg began pressing forward again. They wear down all Dominion defense, withstood Dominion offense. Due to no resupply, the Founders couldn't mass produce the pathogen. The last Odo seen was the Great Link, Borgified.
Borg wins.
So that was my particular scenario and take on the Borg versus the Dominion. What do you guys think? How do you guys think the scenario would have played out? What scenario do you guys think that the Dominion would have been able to defeat the Borg? So thanks for watching. And as always, peace, recycle, and save the whale.